The first day of school can either be the best day ever or the worst day ever. But what if I told you that one year on my first day, I transferred to a completely different school where I didn't know anyone. So I was super nervous, and I ended up doing something that day that led to the whole school knowing exactly who I was just by the second day. But not in a good way. And it was all because of what happened in the school bathroom. Let me tell you exactly what I did. So like I said, this was my first day at school where I knew absolutely no one. And for some people, that may sound exciting. But for me, that was my worst nightmare. Because here's the thing about me. I'm not good at meeting new people. I'm always super quiet. And you guys may be like, Tyler, that's a lie. We've seen your videos. You do not stop yapping. Which, that's true. But I only yap when it's around people I'm comfortable with. So if I'm around someone I've never met before, I'm just gonna be checking the weather in Cupertino the whole time instead of actually interacting with them. Is it the autism in me? Probably. But either way, it's the truth. So when my mom dropped me off for school that morning, I was sweating. The parking lot was buzzing with kids, hugging their friends, catching up about summers, laughing. Meanwhile, I was clutching my backpack straps like they were my life vest. Everyone already seemed to know exactly where they belonged. But me, I was a fish out of water. I didn't even know where the bathrooms were. And trust me, that would be a problem later. I kept trying to tell myself, it'll all be okay. What's the worst that could happen? You're just gonna sit through some classes, go home, and survive. Easy. But deep down, I knew that wasn't true. Because at a new school, your first day decides your reputation. You only get one chance to make a first impression. And I just knew mine was probably gonna be me walking into the janitor's closet on accident, thinking it was a classroom. But what I actually ended up doing that day would be far worse. The fear wasn't just about not having friends yet, it was about being judged. I'm such an overthinker, and the thought of me being the one kid in the hallway who's walking alone while everyone else is in their friend groups terrified me. I wasn't just scared of being alone, I was scared of everyone else noticing that I was alone. So walking through those front doors at my new school felt like going onto a stage for a play where I didn't know any of my lines. Immediately when I walked into that school, every second felt like life or death. Where I stood, how I acted, if I made eye contact or not. It all felt like evidence people would use to decide who I was. Even though, in reality, no one actually cares about that stuff. But my mind always plays tricks on me, so this was all I could think about. And because of this, I ended up making a really dumb decision later that day. The school day already started off horribly because the first bell rang, meaning that you had 6 minutes to get to your class. But as someone who had never been on this campus before, I had no idea where any of the classrooms were. So I'm panicking, looking at my schedule, trying to figure out where classroom 67C is. Meanwhile, everyone else knows exactly where to go. And of course, the final bell rings, and I still haven't found my classroom. So I ended up being about 10 minutes late before I found the right room. Once I got to the door of my first class, I took a big deep breath, peed a little bit, and then opened it. Immediately when I walk in, everyone is staring at me because obviously class started 10 minutes ago, so all the students are already there. And the only seat open was dead center, surrounded by all the other students. So now I'm just in between all these people that I have no idea who they are. And even though I'm uncomfortable in these situations, I tried to ease the tension by talking to the students around me. Like I heard two guys next to me talking about who their favorite superhero is. But when I jumped in, they gave me a weird look because apparently LeBron James isn't a superhero. He is to me, okay? But anyways, that first class went by, and although I was horribly anxious the whole time, I made it through. But this day would become a disaster just a little bit later. Because the worst part wasn't even going to the classes. It was the time in between classes where everyone's hanging out with their friends. That's when you really feel the weight of being alone. Everyone else is walking in packs, catching up, joking around with each other. And then there's me, scoping out the area, tweaking like this.
Oh my God, bro.
Oh, hell no, man. What the fuck?
I was even embarrassing myself when I tried opening my locker for the first time. I twisted the lock left, then right, then left again, but it didn't open. Tried again. Still didn't work. By the third attempt, I could see the guy next to me smirking, and I could tell that he was judging me, so I just barked at him. I was just like this. But during this day, while all of this was happening, there was only one thing I could think about this whole time. Lunch. And no, not because I was just really hungry and wanted to eat, okay? How dare you guys assume that? Although, it is true. But the reason I could not stop thinking about lunch was because I had one super important question. Where was I going to sit? Because in class, at least you can hide. You can pretend to take notes, pretend to be busy, but in the cafeteria, you have to pick a spot. Either sit down at a table by yourself, looking like the dude who has no friends, which I was, or go to a table where other people are sitting and try to make friends with them. But like I said, I don't have friendship riz, so that option seemed too scary. As I sat through my last class before lunch, my stomach was twisting. Not from hunger, but from nerves. Every tick of that clock was bringing me closer to the point where I would have to walk into the cafeteria with my tray in hand and figure out where to go. Then finally, Everyone runs out trying to be the first person to lunch. I follow the crowd because I literally did not know where the cafeteria was, and eventually, I arrive inside it. I'm standing at the entrance with my lunch bag, looking out at what feels like a battlefield. Every single table is already claimed with these tight friend groups that have formed over years of going to school with each other. You've got the popular kids. You've got the anime kids who do the Naruto run to get to lunch first. The theater kids doing the cup song with their chocolate milk. All right, picture this. I'm buying a hoodie online. I hit checkout, and what does it say? Full price. Do I look like the type of guy who pays full price? No, but I was about to. Until Cooper saved me. Cooper is basically a shopping sidekick. Their whole thing is smarter shoppers use Cooper. And they're right, because before this, I was a not so smart shopper. Instead of me Googling Nike promo code, please work, Cooper just runs all the coupons for me automatically. I sit back, it does the math, and suddenly, my total drops like magic. And here's the crazy part. It gives cash back at places I already shop. Walmart, Sephora, Macy's. Like imagine buying socks and your wallet literally tips you afterward. One time I was looking at sneakers for $120 and Cooper was like, hey, they're $30 cheaper across the street. It's basically a friend who politely roasts you for overpaying. So yeah, Cooper saves me money in 3 different ways. It's free, and now I brag about discounts like they're my greatest life achievements. Oh, you got promoted? Cool. Well, I just saved $40 on candles. Download Cooper, links in the description, and let it do the coupon hunting for you. Trust me, your bank account will thank you. Everyone knew exactly where they were going, except for me. So I start walking through the cafeteria, trying to show off my mysterious aura, but inside, I was terribly nervous. Where am I supposed to sit? Every table I pass has friend groups that are already deep in conversation, laughing about jokes that I'm not in on. They're not being mean or anything, but they're not exactly looking around for new people to invite to their table. And why would they? But I'm holding this lunch bag in my hand, realizing how stupid I must look right now, just wandering around like I'm lost. I look like that kid in Walmart at the checkout line when his mom says to wait there while she goes to get something. Do I just walk up to a random table and ask if I can sit down? Terrifying. What if they say no? Or what if they say yes, but then just ignore me the whole time? The panic starts building up in my chest as I imagine everyone looking at the new kid who has no friends. I can picture them whispering to each other about how I'm just standing there looking confused. Maybe some of them are feeling bad for me, which is almost even worse than judging me. So I keep walking around this cafeteria, pretending as if I'm looking for someone I know. But in reality, I'm just trying to buy time to figure out what to do. The longer I stand there, the more obvious it becomes that I'm way too nervous to sit down at any of these tables. But then, a brilliant idea hits me. Why am I putting myself through this torture? Why do I have to sit in this cafeteria and show off to everyone that I'm the new kid who has no friends? There has to be somewhere else I can eat where I don't have to deal with all this pressure. I could find a quiet spot somewhere else in the school where I can eat my lunch in peace. No judgment, no stares, just me and my sandwich in a place where I can actually relax. So in my mind, what was the best place to do this? A bathroom. Private, peaceful, and nobody would know that I was hiding from that terrifying cafeteria. You might be thinking, Tyler, you're weird. You should have just sat alone. It's not that big of a deal. And you're totally right. No one was probably judging me, but you guys don't know how my brain works. It makes up fantasies and situations that aren't real just to sabotage me. I don't know why, but that's just how it is. Like just the other day, my mom told me she would be back from the store by 5 p.m. And once the clock hit 5:01 and she still wasn't home, I immediately assumed she got kidnapped. But then 5:03 came around and she pulled into the driveway. So because of how my brain works, I was convinced that hiding somewhere was way better than being seen as someone with no friends. I know that sounds ridiculous now, but at the time, it made perfect sense to me. If nobody saw me eating alone, then nobody could judge me for it. I could maintain the mysterious aura I was going for instead of being labeled as the weird, lonely kid. Maybe people would think I was off doing something cool instead of just being antisocial. Which is funny because realistically, none of them were thinking about me at all. But the bathroom plan seemed genius at the time. It was private, peaceful, and there would be zero judgment from the outside world. I could eat my lunch in complete privacy and then show up to my next class as if I was just hanging out with my friends the whole time. The only downside is you have to eat food while sitting on a toilet. But I can manage. But little did I know, this perfect plan was about to backfire in the worst way possible. Because when I planned to go eat in the bathroom, I knew I couldn't go to the main ones because there would be a bunch of other students in there. I needed to go somewhere that I wouldn't be noticed. So I walked around the school looking for bathrooms that were more off the grid. And after a couple minutes, that's when I found one on the outer edge of campus. It was the perfect location because no one was walking around this area during lunchtime. I wasn't even sure if it was open until I walked up a little closer to it and saw a wooden block keeping the door cracked open. So I go inside, say hello, making sure that no one else is in there, And just like that, I found my peaceful hiding spot. I'm sitting in the stall, eating my lunch, watching the clock tick closer and closer to when my next class would start. And I didn't even mind eating in here because it was super peaceful with how quiet it was. I'm a person that loves my alone time, and this is exactly what that was. But as lunch went on, panic started to build up in my chest because I knew exactly what was about to happen next. The bell was gonna ring, and I was gonna have to go back into the real world. So I hear that PTSD-inducing ring from the bell and accept that I have to leave the bathroom and go to my next class. I pack up all my stuff, get out of the stall, and head towards the bathroom door. But this is where everything went very wrong. Because remember how I said that this bathroom was being kept open by a wooden block? Yeah, well, apparently there was a reason for that. Because the moment I tried pushing that door open, it didn't budge. I tried a little harder, and after a few attempts, I realized it was not opening. Now, my heart was racing because my next class started in a few minutes while I'm stuck in this bathroom that no one uses with no way to get out. And I don't know anyone at this school, so I couldn't even text someone being like, hey, can you let me out of the bathroom? So I was officially stuck. I tried everything. I kicked the door like I was in a karate movie. I rammed it with my shoulder like I was a football player, which hurt me way more than it hurt the door, but nothing worked. This place was literally the Area 51 of restrooms. Isolated, hidden away in the back corner of the school where nobody went. If you think someone was just gonna casually walk in to save me, you were mistaken. At one point, I saw a vent in the bathroom and considered trying to crawl through that like I was in Mission Impossible. But then I remembered I'm not the size of a rat and I would probably just get stuck in there if I tried that. So with every minute that passed, the panic built more and more. The second bell rang, indicating that class has officially started, and I was still stuck in there with no way to get out. After a while of trying to figure out ways to get out of there, I just accepted that I was cooked. I went back into the stall, sat down, and just started doing my homework until someone either came in to save me or I just passed away from starvation. The peanut butter and jelly I had from lunch was only gonna keep me alive so long. So I'm sitting there as time is going by where I'm missing my first math class of the year, which honestly, if there's one class I would wanna miss, it's that one. Because I still don't know what the Pythagorean theorem is. But randomly, as I'm sitting there, I get a phone call from my mom. Now when I saw who I was getting a call from, my heart immediately dropped. Because everyone knows if your mom calls you during school hours, something bad happened. Obviously your mom knows you're in school and doesn't want to get you busted for using your phone while in class. So why in the world would she possibly be calling me at this time? Well, I was about to find out because I didn't want to answer considering the situation I was in, but I figured if she was calling during a time like this, it had to be important. So I go, hello, Mom? Her voice was instantly mad. Tyler, where are you right now? I didn't really know how to answer that without sounding insane, so I just go, at school? But then she responds with, oh, really? Because I think you're lying. What? Why would you think that? Oh, I don't know. Maybe because I just got a call from your school saying that you're absent from class? My heart sank because the school thought I was ditching. And of course they did, because from their perspective, I was nowhere to be found even though I went to my first couple of classes. So now, this was literally the worst case scenario. I start stuttering out, Mom, I swear I'm not ditching. Check my location, I'm at school. Then why are you not in class right now? Yeah, about that, I got stuck in the bathroom. What do you mean you got stuck in the bathroom? Well, you see, that's a tough question to answer because I walked into the bathroom, but when I tried walking out, the door was shut. Okay, well, even if you were telling the truth, people go into the bathroom all the time. If you were really stuck in there, someone else would have got you out by now. Yeah, about that, not quite. And then I explained the whole situation to her and why I was in a bathroom that was all the way out on Spun Island. So she became a little less mad after hearing my explanation, but I just know that she was thinking, dang, what kind of son have I raised? She sighed so loudly I could hear it through the phone. She asked me what she could do to help, and I said, I don't think she could do anything as long as school is still in session, because an adult can't just walk onto a campus during school hours or else they're going to immediately go into lockdown and start saying, attention, there's a 5'2" lady furiously heading towards the bathrooms. Everyone be on alert. But if nothing else happened until the school day ended, that meant I was going to miss my next 2 classes, which my mother was not going to let slide on my first day at a new school. Because she was trying to get me into a good college on scholarship so she wouldn't have to pay for my school. And I respect it. That didn't end up happening, but we tried. So after I explained the whole situation to her over phone, I told her I'll handle it, and then we hung up. In reality, I had no idea what I was gonna do, but her panicking was just stressing me out even more. After that phone call ended, I just went back to doing my homework, not expecting anything new to happen until school ended. And the worst part about this was that missing these next 2 classes meant by the next day, everyone was already going to have their seats. And I was going to have to find somewhere to sit that wasn't taken. Just a nightmare for someone that's already terrified to show up in the first place. But as I'm doing my history homework, learning about how NBA YoungBoy discovered the United States 300 years ago, I hear voices for the first time right outside the door. My heart jumped. I sprinted to the door and started banging on it like a lunatic. Somebody! I'm locked in here! There was a pause, and then a man's voice. You okay in there? I had no idea who it was on the outside of that door, but I didn't care. I knew they could help me, so I kept screaming. Yes, but I'm stuck in here and I can't get out. It's locked from the outside. I don't get a response for a second, and I imagine that the person on the other side just thought I was crazy and walked away. But then, I hear keys jingle, and right after, I hear a click, and the door unlocks. I push that door open like I'm seeing sunlight for the first time after serving a 30-year prison sentence. And who do I see? The janitor. Forget LeBron. This guy was my new superhero. Well, no, LeBron still was, but this guy was added to the list. The janitor looked me up and down with an expression on his face that said, "Why are you even using this bathroom in the first place?" And I just mumbled, thank you. He shook his head and muttered something like, "It's always the first day of school." And you might think the worst of the situation has already happened. I was freed from the bathroom and I can still make it to the other classes. But no, it just got worse because I still had to go back to my class that had now been in session for over half an hour. So I open the door to my math class. Everyone turns to look at me, and mid-sentence, the teacher goes, "And that is what... Are you Tyler?" "Yes." "Where have you been?" My brain screamed at me, "Do not say you were locked in the bathroom." But my mouth ignored that, and I blurted out, I was locked in the bathroom. And I can feel the regret as I'm saying that sentence because right when I finish talking, I see a bunch of students trying to hold their laughs in. The teacher tells me to just go sit down, but now I can feel all the eyeballs on me. And I ended up making it through that day of school, but by the next day when I went back, I realized the story had already spread like wildfire. Students from a bunch of other classes were asking me about getting stuck in the bathroom. And I felt like a celebrity getting bombarded by paparazzi with all the questions they were asking me. So remember how I said I wanted to make a good impression on the first day of school? Well, that was it. The first impression the whole school had on me was the kid who got stuck in the bathroom. And honestly, it was horribly embarrassing. But looking back on it now, it actually made a lot of people come up to me and talk to me, which broke the ice. So what am I saying? If you're nervous about going to your first day of school, try getting stuck in the bathroom. It could help you make friends.